Life has a peculiar way of folding and unfolding, like the pages of an ancient manuscript, each line written by hands unseen, each chapter revealing secrets too grand for our mortal minds to comprehend. There are moments when the days stretch long, barren, like a land untouched by rain, when prayers rise into the night but return unanswered, lost in the vast silence. It is in these moments, when hope seems to wither and dreams fade into the background of yesterday's failures, that something unseen begins to stir. The unexpected is waiting. The unseen is moving. Life, as you know it, is shifting beneath your feet, rearranging itself in ways that will leave you breathless. You may not feel it now. You may be sitting in the middle of the same struggle that has held you captive for years. But oh, if only you knew what was coming, if only you knew that just beyond this present darkness, something magnificent is on its way. The wind does not whisper its secrets before it changes direction, nor does the tide send warning before it turns, but change is coming. The life you have known, the struggles you have carried, the burdens that have bent your back and bowed your head, none of them are strong enough to hold you where you are. The clock is shifting, the season is turning, and before you even have the chance to brace yourself, you will find that life as you knew it is no more. Something new is arriving, something grand, and it will not wait for you to be ready. There are seasons when the soil lies untouched, the seeds buried beneath layers of earth, unseen and forgotten. To the untrained eye, it looks like nothing is happening. Day after day, the sun rises and sets, yet the ground does not give way to new life. But oh, deep beneath the surface, where no eye can see, something is moving. The roots stretch, the seed cracks, the husk gives way to the life within it. What seems still was never still at all. So it is with you. You have been standing in the same place, waiting, wondering if the story will ever change. You have whispered questions into the night, searching for answers that never seem to come. You have watched as others have risen, as doors have opened for them, as their names were called, their blessings poured out, while you remained in the same place, untouched by the shifting tides. But seasons do not ask permission before they change. What has been still is now shaking. What has been hidden is now rising. And whether you see it or not, the ground beneath you is moving. You may not feel ready. You may have told yourself you are unworthy of more. You may have accepted the idea that this is all life has for you. But oh, if you only knew what is waiting beyond this moment. If you only knew that the pain, the waiting, the uncertainty, none of it has been in vain. There is a force greater than any doubt, stronger than any fear, that has already set things in motion for you. You will not be able to stop it. You will not be able to contain it. What is coming will be bigger than you imagined, greater than you prayed for. Think of the caterpillar moving slowly, confined to the earth, unaware of the destiny woven into its being. It lives its days in limitation, never knowing that within it rests the power to fly. And then comes the darkness, the cocoon, the stillness, a place that looks like the end, but in truth is the beginning of everything. Perhaps you have been in that place, a cocoon of waiting, a silence so thick it felt like an ending. But endings are not always what they seem. Sometimes they are merely the breath before the breakthrough, the pause before the grandest unveiling. And the unveiling is near. The shift will not be small. It will not come in whispers. It will be a turning so great that when you look back, you will hardly recognize the life you once lived. The things that once bound you will fall away like dust in the wind. The closed doors, the unanswered prayers, the nights of uncertainty, they will become memories of a season that could not hold you. Prepare yourself. The breaking open is coming. There will be those who do not understand it, those who will look at you and wonder how you rose so quickly, how the tide turned in your favor after all this time, but they did not see the years of waiting, the nights of wrestling, the tears hidden in the quiet corners of your soul. They did not see the seed beneath the soil, the roots stretching in the unseen places, but now they will see. It is coming swiftly, like the turning of the wind, like the breaking of dawn. It will not be delayed. It will not be stopped. The time of waiting has reached its end. The page is turning, the chapter is changing, and your life, oh, your life is about to be rewritten in ways you never dreamed possible. The shift will come so suddenly that you may not recognize it at first. It will not arrive with warning signs or loud announcements. It will creep in disguised as small moments, as chance meetings, as opportunities you almost ignore because they seem too simple, too ordinary. But the ordinary is never just ordinary. The turning of tides has always begun in whispers before it roars. You will wake up one day and realize that the weight you have carried no longer sits so heavy on your shoulders. The prayers that once felt like they fell into silence will return not as echoes but as answers. The road that stretched long and weary before you will open, and you will not know whether to laugh or to weep. You will look around and find that the chains you thought were unbreakable have already fallen away. There are things that have been aligning, things that were placed in motion long before you realized you needed them. You thought the waiting was wasted time, but time has never been wasted in the hands of the unseen. Every moment, every tear, every closed door, it was all part of the great unfolding. You had to be kept still so that what was meant for you could be prepared. You had to be hidden so that when the light found you, you would be ready to shine. The trials were not meant to break you. They were meant to refine you. You will understand it soon. The setbacks, the disappointments, the things that left you wondering if you had been forgotten, they were merely stepping stones toward a greater design. You were not overlooked. You were being positioned. You were not cast aside. You were being protected. What is coming is too great to have been rushed. The foundation had to be strong. The roots had to be deep. And now, now the time has come. It will not be subtle. When the shift arrives, it will wash over you like a flood, like the first warm wind of spring melting the grip of winter. It will not be something you can explain. You will only know that one moment you were standing in the middle of uncertainty, and the next, the path was clear before you. You will not have to force it. You will not have to chase it. The door will open and you will step through, not because you fought your way in, but because it was always meant for you. The ones who doubted you, the ones who laughed when you dared to dream, the ones who turned their backs when you needed them most, they will have no choice but to witness your rising. They will see what was always within you, what they failed to recognize. They will wonder how you came from the place they left you in, how you grew from the ground they thought was barren. They will not understand that even in the quiet, you were never standing still. You were growing in ways they could not see, preparing for a destiny they could not imagine. The shift will require something of you. It will ask you to step forward, to leave behind the comfort of the familiar, to trust that what is ahead is greater than what you are leaving behind. There will be moments of hesitation, moments where fear whispers that you are not ready, that this is too much, too soon, but you will be ready. You have always been ready. The waiting was never about making you strong enough. It was about making you see that you already were. When the opportunity comes, do not shrink back. When the door opens, do not question whether you are worthy to walk through it. You were made for this moment. You were prepared for this season. There is a reason why the shift is happening now, why the things that once felt impossible are suddenly within reach. The pieces are aligning, the winds are turning, and you are being swept into a story far greater than anything you could have written for yourself. There will be those who try to remind you of who you used to be, of the mistakes you made, of the times you failed. But you are no longer the person they remember. The waiting has transformed you. The trials have reshaped you. You are stepping into a new reality, one where the limitations of the past no longer define you. You do not owe explanations to those who only knew you in your struggle. You do not have to defend the blessings that were always meant for you. You will not need to prove yourself. The change in your life will speak for itself. The glow in your spirit, the lightness in your step, the way the air seems to shift when you walk into a room, it will all tell the story that words cannot. The shift will be undeniable. The change will be irreversible. What is coming will not just alter one area of your life. It will transform everything. The way you think, the way you move, the way you see the world will no longer be the same. What once felt like a struggle will become a stepping stone. What once felt like a loss will reveal itself to be a blessing in disguise. You will not have to chase the things that are meant for you. They will find you. They will unfold before you in ways that will leave you in awe. The things that once felt so far out of reach will become the very things that come knocking at your door. The moments of despair, the nights of uncertainty, the seasons of waiting, they will all fade into the background as you step into the fullness of what has been prepared for you. The ones who left you will wonder how you rose so high. The ones who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge the transformation. And you, oh, you will know that every moment of waiting, every tear shed in silence, every battle fought in the unseen places, it was all leading to this. You will not be the same. The life you knew will no longer fit you. The struggles that once felt overwhelming will become distant memories. What is coming will not simply elevate you, it will redefine you. You are about to step into something that will make everything you endured worth it. You are about to witness the unfolding of something so great, so unexpected, that it will leave you breathless. And when it happens, when you look around and see the shift that has taken place, you will know without a doubt, without hesitation, that it was always meant to be this way. The waiting was never in vain. The trials were never without purpose. It was all part of the great preparation for the moment that is now upon you. The time is now. The shift is here. And nothing will ever be the same again. The turning of a season does not wait for permission. It does not ask if you are ready, if you have gathered the strength, if you have healed from the wounds of the past. It arrives when it is meant to arrive, sweeping away everything that no longer belongs, making space for what has always been destined to take root. You may have felt like you were standing in the same place for too long, watching the world move past you, watching others step into their blessings while your own life remained unchanged. But what you did not see was the preparation happening in the unseen places. You were not forgotten. You were being fortified. There are moments in life when nothing makes sense, when the struggle feels endless, when the weight on your shoulders grows so heavy that you wonder if you will ever be free from it. You have known what it is like to press forward with no evidence that anything is changing. You have known the feeling of watching doors slam shut, of pouring everything you have into a dream only to see it slip through your fingers. You have known the ache of believing in something that has not yet arrived, but you have not known, could not have known, that even in the stillness, even in the waiting, the forces at work in your life were already moving in your favor. Change does not always come in the way you expect it. It does not always arrive with a grand announcement, with clear signs pointing the way forward. Sometimes it slips in quietly, rearranging the details of your life before you even realize what is happening. The people who walked away, the opportunities that seemed to disappear, the endings you thought would break you, all of it was clearing the way for something greater. You may not have understood it in the moment, but you will. You will look back and see that every delay was a divine detour, every disappointment a hidden redirection, every loss a necessary pruning for the growth that was to come. You are on the edge of something new. You can feel it in your spirit, even if your mind tries to dismiss it. You have carried a sense that something is shifting, that the chapter you have been stuck in is finally closing, that the struggle you thought would last forever is nearing its end. Do not ignore that feeling. Do not let doubt convince you that nothing is happening just because you cannot see it yet. The most powerful movements begin in the unseen places. The strongest transformations begin in silence. You have waited long enough, you have endured enough, and now you are about to see why it had to happen this way. The doors that once refused to open will swing wide without warning. The places that once rejected you will make space for your arrival. The very things you thought had passed you by will return, not as missed opportunities, but as promises fulfilled in the right time. The weight of waiting will be lifted, and you will step forward not as the person you once were, but as someone who has been shaped, refined, prepared. There will be moments when you will not believe what is happening. You will question whether you are truly ready, whether you deserve the goodness unfolding before you. But let me tell you this, you do. Every tear, every sacrifice, every battle fought in the dark, none of it has been forgotten. You were never meant to struggle forever. You were never meant to stay in the place of waiting. This new season will not just bless you, it will restore you. It will return what was lost, mend what was broken, rebuild what was torn down. And when you stand in the middle of it, when you look around and see the shift that has taken place, you will finally understand. The shift will not be small. It will not be something you can ignore. It will be undeniable, overwhelming in its suddenness, breathtaking in its magnitude. The very ground beneath your feet will seem to shake as the life you have always dreamed of becomes your reality. The circumstances that once seemed unchangeable will shift overnight. The battles you once fought with everything in you will no longer be necessary. What once felt so impossible will become effortless. And when you try to explain it, when people ask how it happened, you will have no words. This will not be a season of small victories. This will be a season of complete transformation. It will touch every part of your life. The relationships that drained you, the situations that held you back, the patterns that kept you stuck, all of it will fall away. The weight of the past will no longer define you. The mistakes, the regrets, the fears that whispered that you would never be enough, they will no longer have a place in your life. You will rise, not because you fought your way to the top, but because you were always meant to. There will be those who will not understand the change in you. They will look at you with disbelief, wondering how someone who once struggled so much could now be walking in such abundance. They will try to remind you of your past, of the times you failed, of the times you doubted. But you will not be the person they remember. The waiting has changed you. The struggle has strengthened you. You have been transformed in ways that they cannot see. And when you step into this new season, there will be no going back. This change will not come with struggle. It will not require you to fight for it. It will not come from striving or forcing things into place. It will happen naturally, effortlessly, in the way that only true transformation can. One day you will wake up and realize that the things that once tormented you no longer have power over you. The worries that once consumed your mind will be replaced with peace. Your rage will be replaced with peace. The limitations that once kept you bound will no longer exist. The shift has already begun. The things that once seemed impossible are already moving in your favor. The doors that once seemed locked have already started to open. The answers you have been waiting for are already on their way. You may not see it yet, but it is happening. Even now, the pieces are aligning, the way is being prepared, and before you know it, you will step into a life that is beyond anything you could have imagined. You will look back on this moment and see it for what it truly was, not a season of waiting, but a season of preparation, not a time of being forgotten, but a time of being refined. And when you stand on the other side of it, when you step into the fullness of what has been prepared for you, you will know that it was always meant to happen this way. The waiting was never a punishment. The delays were never a denial. Everything that happened was leading you to this. And now the time has come. The season is shifting. The doors are opening. And life as you know it will never be the same again. The air is changing. You can feel it even if you can't explain it. The same streets you have walked for years suddenly seem unfamiliar, as if they no longer recognize you, or perhaps as if they are whispering that you do not belong here anymore. The conversations that once engaged you now feel hollow. The worries that once consumed you no longer seem as powerful. You have changed, even before your life has. You may not have realized it yet, but the shift did not start outside of you, it started within you. You have been carrying a quiet knowing, a subtle but undeniable sense that something is ending. Not in a tragic way, not in a way that brings loss, but in a way that makes room. You may have tried to ignore it, may have told yourself that you are only imagining things. You may have thought that nothing ever truly changes for you, that you have been in the same cycle for too long for anything to break it. But cycles do break, seasons do change. And just because something has been a certain way for a long time does not mean it is meant to stay that way forever. You have seen others move forward while you remained in place. You have watched people step into opportunities while you held your breath, wondering if your time would ever come. And now you are beginning to realize that it was never about them. It was never about whether you were enough, never about whether you were deserving, never about whether you had been forgotten. It was about timing. And timing has never been something you could control. There were things that needed to happen before you could move forward. There were lessons that needed to settle in your spirit. There were parts of you that needed to be shed. Old ways of thinking, old fears, old versions of yourself that were never meant to walk into the future you were about to step into. You were not waiting because you were being punished. You were waiting because you were being refined. You were waiting because what is coming is so much greater than what you would have settled for. The shift is already in motion. What you thought would take years will happen in days. The things you thought you had lost forever will find their way back to you, not as remnants of the past, but as signs that everything is being restored. The places where you once felt stuck will no longer hold you. The doors that once seemed so far out of reach will be the very ones that open without effort. And when it happens, it will not be subtle. You will wake up one day and realize that the battle you fought for so long is over. Not because you won through sheer force, not because you finally figured out the secret formula to success, but because it was always meant to end. You were never meant to struggle indefinitely. You were never meant to live in lack, to settle for less, to fight every single day just to survive. You were meant to thrive, to walk in abundance, to experience joy that is not fleeting. The people who overlooked you will be confused. The ones who doubted you will be speechless. You will not need to justify yourself. You will not need to explain how it happened. The transformation will speak for itself. The glow on your face, the peace in your spirit, the ease with which you move in spaces that once intimidated you. None of it will be missed. They will see it. They will know, and you will know that it was always meant to be this way. You will stand in the middle of your new life and wonder how it all changed so quickly. You will look around and see doors that once refused to open now standing wide, opportunities that once ignored you now calling your name. And yet in that moment, you will realize that the true change did not happen outside of you. The true change happened in the waiting, in the refining, in the seasons when you felt forgotten, but you kept going anyway. Nothing was wasted, not the tears, not the sleepless nights, not the prayers that felt like they fell into silence. Every single moment was part of the preparation. Every single hardship was molding you into someone stronger, wiser, more capable of holding the blessings that were meant for you. You were not being ignored. You were being built. And now you are ready. The things that once would have overwhelmed you will now feel effortless. The doors that once felt too big for you to walk through will now feel like they were made for you. You will not need to beg for a seat at the table. You will not need to convince anyone of your worth. You will walk in, and your presence alone will confirm what they should have seen all along. Some will try to remind you of where you came from, of the struggles you endured, of the times you doubted yourself. But they will not know this version of you. They will only know the version that struggled, the version that second-guessed, the version that did not yet realize the power within. That version no longer exists. You have outgrown it, and now all that is left is for you to step into what has been waiting for you. There is no more striving, no more trying to force what was always meant to come with ease, no more worrying if you are ready. You are ready. You always have been. The only difference now is that you finally believe it. You will see it all unfold in ways that will leave you breathless. The people, the opportunities, the experiences that once felt so far away will appear as if they were there all along, just waiting for you to open your eyes. The things you once chased will now chase you. The things you once feared will no longer have a hold on you. The things that once seemed so impossible will now seem inevitable. You will not return to who you were. You will not fit back into the spaces that once tried to keep you small. The shift is not temporary. It is not something that will come and go like a passing season. This is permanent. This is foundational. This is the moment that everything changes. Not just for a little while, not just until the next challenge arises, but forever. You are not who you were, you are not where you were, and you will never be again. Everything you have been through, everything you have endured, everything you have survived, it was all leading to this. And now the wait is over, the shift is here, and nothing will ever be the same. There are moments when the air around you hums with something unspoken, when the weight of waiting suddenly feels lighter, when the ache of uncertainty begins to loosen its grip. You may not be able to explain it, but something inside of you knows. Something is shifting. You are not the same, and because of that, your life cannot remain the same. You have walked through seasons of silence, through days where nothing seemed to move, where every effort felt like it was swallowed by an invisible force that refused to let you pass through. You have known the frustration of feeling like you were meant for more, but not knowing how to reach it. And you have known the sting of watching others step into their breakthroughs while yours seemed just out of reach. But what you did not know then, what you could not have seen, was that the very things that seemed to hold you back were actually shaping the path before you.